Lads, we're back.
Yeah.
Happy end
we're
of
still here.
semester.
Woo.
That is
Kind of.
true. We are almost done the semester. I don't know about you guys. I have a couple assignments left and a single exam.
When is that?
The 14th from 3 to 6 p.m.
Wow.
Damn.
What
is that
class?
for?
Social issues and popular music.
Oh.
Daniel, what's in the background?
Steve Nash.
On your right. It looks like
Oh,
a
Star Wars
poster.
Yes.
Is that supposed to be Luke? Is that from episode? What is that? What am I looking at?
Episode 5.
Episode 5. So what is that
Yeah.
supposed to be? That's supposed to be like the battle in Bisbane. Is that Luke when he still has both his arms versus Vader? And it's like, I am your father.
Yeah. Before that,
Okay.
So, like Alex, don't worry. We're gonna put up our stuff soon on the walls.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming soon. It's
Yes.
coming within a week.
I'm actually getting tired of my bare bones one, or like the fact that it's not organized. I got to do that in the holidays.
You see that in the background for me is half blinders, half closet, and it's like Two-Face, light side, dark side.
Which one are you leaning towards right now, Adam? At the end of the
I'm leaning
semester,
towards the light side. I'm Clone Wars Anakin.
there's still good in you despite the
Yeah.
stresses of the exams.
And then when Alex and I get into an argument about the Olympics, I go to the dark side and I turn into episode 3 of Anakin, and there's the younglings and all that stuff.
Wow.
Right though, guys.
Wait. Before I move on from school, I think everyone listening really wants to know, did you get the proposal back for your class? Because I'm
Yesterday.
interested. You got it
Wow.
yesterday. And
I
when's
got
your
it
essay due?
The 11th.
And today's the
The 6th.
6th. Nice.
Encouraged
Nice.
not to hand it in until we get the proposal so we can make edits.
How long is the essay?
Proposal 5 days before it's due for a research paper.
This all started because Daniel read an email out on a Zoom call. That's just how it started.
I feel I want to find, because we haven't been given the email for this TA, and I think
Yeah.
it's a good idea because otherwise I think she would have been bombarded. But I almost want to get it so I can just say thank you, because it felt like she turned this around in about a week or two, and then it makes me wonder, the other professor, we've still only gotten one other grade back from him, and that was the original reading quiz.
Wait, which professor?
I'm not gonna say the professor.
two professors?
Get me in trouble. But I genuinely would really like to sit down
Yeah.
with this professor one day and be like, can you see? I understand COVID and all this, but grades are just, knowing where you are in the semester is so important. It's just part of planning, right? And the NHL players don't know what they're doing. I'm sure they're pretty upset about it. So
That's fair.
I am too.
You should write a strongly worded email. I don't mean that
You should
sarcastically.
write a feature.
I don't. Okay, maybe
the
not
course
feature.
surveys are gonna get an earful.
There we go. I forgot about those.
On top of having the same reading stuff for another class, which I've.
Oh,
When are you done? When are you done the semester officially, Adam? In terms of final stuff?
On the 11th, I have a take-home exam due when I'm which is not going to be a problem for me, and the essay is due on the 11th. But I don't have an exam. My classes are obviously all done because they were ended last week.
Mm-hmm.
So on the 11th onwards, I'm going to try and get everything done before then. Obviously, probably going to do a real grind of stuff tomorrow and try and have everything done, and then just relax for Christmas and that.
Oh, cool.
We are stretching it a bit here because we don't have a ton of hockey stuff to talk about.
We just have our friendship to.
We can talk
lead
about
off.
the World Juniors and why it looks like hockey's being pushed back to mid-January as opposed to beginning. Before we do, though, there was a Grand Prix today, and we should say congratulations to Sergio Checo Perez for winning the Sakir Grand Prix.
Sergio Perez, the next Red Bull driver.
We all
say that about Max.
alongside Max Verstappen.
I don't know if they
care
can
what
take out
Daniel.
Max.
I don't care what Daniel has to say anymore. He is sitting in that second seat next season. If they don't, there are some issues.
Apparently, they might do a 3-car rotation. I heard.
Oh yeah, maybe,
yeah.
maybe
Not how it works.
they'll just alternate guys. Okay.
Yeah. Or 2 drivers per car.
No, absolutely not. And our hearts go out to George Russell, who probably would have won or at least gotten P2, if not for that puncture. The move he made on Bottas after the safety car was sensational. As Will Buxton called it, the move of a champion.
If they don't put Sergio Perez in that seat, they're just trying to save face for their junior program. Okay, that's what the reality is.
Yeah, Red Bull, figure your stuff out.
We're still
Mercedes.
Alex Albon fans.
Of course, it's not that I'm not an
nice
Alex
guy.
Albon. I'm not. It's not that I'm not an Alex Albon fan. I look at how they treated Gasly last season, and I feel like we are under the. If anything, it's the same with Alex Albon, and they haven't done. They've done it completely. They've done it completely different with Albon
Mhm.
for whatever reason. I think they're trying to save face for their driver program
Mhm.
because we all know Kvyat's not getting that seat at AlphaTauri. It's probably Yuki Tsunoda.
You just finished what 3 in the championship?
I believe so.
Yeah, congratulations to Mick Schumacher, by the
Yeah.
way. I feel bad for Callum Ilott, but whatever.
And he already and I think Horner said if he doesn't get this seat, he's taking a year off, as in Albon.
Well,
He's redshirting this year.
Hmm?
He's redshirting next year.
Oh, that's sad. He'll probably have to go with that. I don't know because at
Be
this point in the
Formula E.
season, if you don't have a seat, then I don't know where. Like even for IndyCar, I don't know where you'd go. But we'll go to the hockey. One last thing though. Hey Mercedes, maybe forget about Bottas now. Maybe do Lewis and George. It would be so nice. Yeah, I think George would push.
So when
Lewis.
these guys
Yeah.
perform, but there's not enough seats, is this basically musical chairs?
Yes,
Yes.
honestly.
Like,
That's what it
Hulkenberg's
feels
still
like.
out. Like,
Pardon?
that's insane. Like Hulkenberg is still out.
Yeah.
He's not
Competitive
coming back
musical
next
chairs.
year either, which sucks.
Yeah. It sucks. I mean, like there's a couple other options. Like there's Formula E, which is growing in popularity recently. I mean, there's Indy. Like I know Alonso did a few races over the last couple of years in Indy. But that's not very popular anymore. Like going from Formula One to Indy doesn't seem as popular anymore, but it's an option.
Well, I think Kevin Magnussen was having trouble finding stuff because those guys have to secure their seats as well, right? So at this
Yeah.
point, it's almost like you have to become a reserve driver. And you look at Stoffel Van Dorn from Mercedes. He, say what you want, probably like people thought he was probably going to get the shot for Lewis while he was out this week, but it didn't happen. And I mean, he just had to sit there and watch the disaster that just took place from Mercedes. But
Right.
it's unfortunate. It's such a Will Buxton's also compared it to being the piranha sort of what do you call it, like a piranha plant sort of thing.
What?
It's just everyone's like that's what Formula One is. It's almost like it's a fishbowl or a pond full of piranhas.
Oh, okay.
A fishbowl
That's
of musical
interesting.
chairs.
Yeah, it's cutthroat, man, and sometimes
No,
money is more important
absolutely.
than skill.
Yeah,
Nikita Mazepin should not be in house. It should be Callum Ilott, but Mazepin has money. Well, his dad has money, and has
Yeah.
now I think he's bought a share of Haas, which they need. It's just it's such a like sports are already unfair, but Formula One is just it really is seriously cutthroat. We should talk about hockey though.
probably.
First
The
off,
Vancouver Canucks, no.
No.
I mean, they are in the news. They are in the news.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that? Oh yeah, Mark Donnelly. Oh, you know what? It's such a shame because I was always a really big fan of his anthems. I really like how he gave it to the crowd, but
Not anymore.
being anti-mask is like, oh no,
Yeah.
we lost another one.
Do you want to dig into that?
No.
What is there to dig
No.
into? I
He
guess
should
there.
wear a mask, and he's
Yeah.
a dick.
I don't know. Like I don't know how much there is to dig into that.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, listening, Mark Donnelly, who does the national anthems for the Vancouver Canucks, has apparently been released by the team because he was going to, or has, I can't remember the exact details, was going to go sing at an anti-mask protest.
I thought he already did.
He did. He
He
yeah.
did? Okay, so
Yesterday.
he did sing, and yeah, so they've gotten rid of him. And for those of you who don't remember him, he's the guy who was doing the anthem skating a couple of years ago and wiped out over a carpet. To
You know,
his
I didn't
credit,
know.
did not skip a beat of
Yeah.
the song, but still.
You know what I didn't know? He's been
What?
doing this since 2001 for the Canucks.
He's been there a while.
Yeah.
Like,
Was
great
he there
voice.
during the cup run?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. When I was a kid, I didn't like him because I thought he was lazy because he just let the crowd do the rest. Like he's an opera singer, I think. Like he's got a very powerful. voice.
Wait, you don't like it when they do that, or you've changed your
When
opinion?
I was a kid, I did.
Oh, okay,
As I've
okay.
gotten older, I was like, yeah, this guy's great. Now I'm thinking, no, he's not maybe that great.
No.
Wear a mask,
what,
please,
what
everyone.
were we gonna do?
COVID cases are up in both Quebec and Ontario today, so let's. Yeah, and
Are they?
we'll talk about the vaccine when it's actually distributed and working. All right,
I thought you were gonna say your line.
get in there, Lewis. That's
No.
my line.
Do better.
Do better, be better, people. Do better.
Better.
Right. Though the New York Rangers, the World Juniors are coming upon us closer and closer every day. We now know officially that the Rangers hate Canada because Alexis
That's not it.
Lafreniere will not be released by the team to play for Team Canada.
I mean,
they
that's
prefer
one
to-
way to look at it.
Yeah, I'm joking, of course. But there's a real. Hey, I'm not the biggest Rangers fan. I remember 2014. Chris Kreider can get out. But in all honesty, and they disrespected King Lundqvist. It's not that big a surprise. They want him to, they want Lafreniere to sort of focus on the upcoming NHL season. If we have that, I think we all sort of did see this coming, though. I'll start Daniel, our World Junior expert here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate. I think this whole time we've been talking about how we want to compare it to 2005 or, what they kind of tried to do with 2013. That didn't go really the way everyone wanted. But when I think about 2005, where you had all those guys coming in, like who should have been in the NHL, like this would be exciting for the World Juniors because, again, it's going to be the same argument every year now. It's just, you imagine if like they performed, if they had these, set number of guys coming in, if we actually had the full roster going in, and it's something that you want to see. It's something that you want to kind of have as like that semblance of like we have that whole thing of the quote unquote coming together at a time where I think this is the best time for a distraction like this to like put it on full display that like the talent is there, like what we have we could give out there because it'd be great.
Yeah.
Indeed. Sorry about that, Alex.
No. Yeah, I mean, it would be really good to see. Like, I think, is there argument that Canada is the number one team going into this tournament? Is that fair?
It's basically the guys that were good last year have improved. Then they have like the NHL talent. The only thing is, it's the same thing we talked about before. It's like just don't look at the goaltending because
Right.
it's kind of lagging.
Like, I think with Lafreniere, they are by far the front runners. Like, I don't even think it's a question because Lafreniere, I know we say one guy can't change the full direction of a team. Like, look at Connor McDavid in Edmonton. But I think when you already have a good team, a really good team, and you just insert an even better player, it can completely change what's going on.
When I look back on like 2005, where they didn't have to have Bergeron and Crosby, but they did have Bergeron and Crosby. When I think of like Quinn and Byfield and Alexis Lafreniere,
Right?
It's I think he was the MVP of the tournament last year, and all I can remember was being at my grandparents' place the day Canada and the U.S. were facing off, and they're like, Adam, we know you want to go watch the hockey. We put it on downstairs. Go check it out, right? I didn't watch the full game because I'm not a heartless bastard. But I remember seeing the States tie it up, quickly just going down to see what was going on. And then the next play, Lafreniere goes around, wicked move, and scores and gives Canada the lead in the game that they go on to win. He going there would have been a cheat code. He would have been such a step above everyone else, I think, even with Byfield. But I think without him, I think the gap between the States and Canada is going to be a lot closer because the States have a lot of good players coming back. Like Cole Caulfield has been really turning it back on. And if he can get some real usage this time going back, and if you're talking about Canada's kind of question mark in net, you just have to look at the States and see Spencer Knight and you realize, there's that's one thing that's going to get in the way of this that might get in Canada's way. Same with Russia and Askarov, right? Like that's
right,
a hurdle they're going to have to overtake. But like it still will be a stacked team Canada.
For sure.
I mean, and then on the other end, the Americans could get even stronger if this season, depending on the start date, it was talked about on insider trading, or if there is a season, there's a better chance that the Leafs will retain Nick Robertson. But depending on the start date when compared to the World Juniors, he might be playing for the Americans. So if the Rangers hate Canada, then the Leafs hate the States. is how this
No.
works.
Wait. Oh yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, it's December 6th, and I guess we'll get into the whole NHL thing, NHLPA thing later, but it's December 6th. It doesn't seem like training camp starting anytime soon. I mean, I think January 1st is completely off the board.
Yeah.
If anything, mid-January, beginning of February. And I mean, we'll get into that later,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I think Robertson, again, like you said, would just be a really good addition to the United States. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind it at all if he went. But I don't even think I had him slotted in my lineup for the start of the season. Like, I feel like that's a bit of a hot take, but
Hey, you're over ripening a young player. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, the guy's played NHL playoff games. Even if you
no.
qualify
He's
games,
played
qualifying
playing
games.
games. Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't
Yeah,
want to
it's-
upset the wrong people.
Yeah.
They don't want us to be overzealous, saying the Leafs went further than they thought we did. You know.
Yeah. It's like when Justin Bieber in 2017 said, the Leafs lasted longer than Canadians. No, they both
What?
lost in 6 games, sir. Yeah, I remember.
In
I'm not petty about that.
2017?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
Because they
did.
had lost in 6, and then the Canadians had lost in 6 to the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
And the Leafs had started the day after Montreal, and the Leafs got eliminated the day after. Technically, it was. I'm not bitter about it. I can forget.
Oh, I
Just
it's
remember,
okay. I
Kasper
understand.
Kasper Kapanen was playing like what 4 or 5 minutes a game, and he
got
kept
the
scoring.
OT winner. in one
He
of
got
those
the
games,
double
didn't he?
OT winner with Brian Boyle, and I believe Matt Martin was on the ice.
Oh God. Okay.
That size.
Yeah. All right. Well, so which one of you two actually put the Logan Paul Evander Kane thing?
I did.
Okay.
Is
All
it
right.
Wait, I'm so confused. Who's fighting, Logan
No,
or
isn't it
Jake?
Jake?
So
Isn't
you,
it
I thought it
you
was
put
Jake.
but I said Logan because both of them are saying something.
Okay.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, and I don't blame you if you don't, Jake Paul, the YouTuber. Yeah, exactly.
Not related to Chris.
The Viner.
Yeah.
Was he
not-
He started on
not
Vine.
a Disney actor? Or was
No,
that
I
his
think.
brother?
think so.
Yeah, he was on like a show for a bit, but then like they fired him or something.
Was he?
Yeah.
Let's find out. Jake Paul Disney. I don't think he was, but you know what? I trust you guys.
It was him or his brother, I think.
Mhm.
That was, and his brothers had his own problems. Like they're. Anyway, he's the guy who's been like who was the NBA player he knocked out?
Nate Robinson. He was on Disney, by the way. He
Yes.
played the role of Dirk Mann on the Disney Channel series Bizaardvark.
What a
I
name.
don't know what any of that means.
Bizarre Vark Ventures.
Oh my god.
That's
so,
just-
anyway. So Jake Paul was on like the undercard of the Mike Tyson pay-per-view.
He was just before Mike Tyson, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Same thing.
On the card of two 50-year-old men beating the crap out of each other. Who was the NBA player that he knocked out, by the way?
Nate Robinson.
Nate Robinson.
So Jake Paul,
Former
knocks out
NBA
this
player.
dude. He had a boxing match with another YouTuber apparently a couple of years
KSI.
ago. KSI, that guy. The guy who
Look
like
at his name.
disappeared for a few years and came back as a rapper because YouTube. I'm embarrassed that I know that. And so Jake Paul knocks out Buddy from the NBA. And Evander Kane decides to be like, yo, I'm gonna tweet it. After, by the way, Paul had like called out McGregor.
So
And I don't think McGregor's even responded, which tells you all you need to know. So Evander Kane, guy who plays in San Jose for the NHL, right? Like, been a good team up until last year. Good player who was getting really quiet. I just want to give some context about Evander Kane. Until he got to San Jose, there was always that air around him. He was a bit of a mischief. That trouble followed him. Then he got to San Jose, and everything seemed to have calmed down. And then he does the stuff for the Hockey Diversity Alliance, all this fantastic stuff, right? And then he calls out a YouTuber to fight on Twitter. And
You
But
know
it's
why?
not just him. It's
Yeah.
not just him though. Like I've seen multiple
Yeah.
guys. So I saw Kane. I saw Robin Leonard. I'm assuming you guys saw Robin Leonard as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very to the point. His
And then-
response is very to the point.
because you didn't Kane then tweet something sexist about this?
Then
I missed this.
Ryan.
Oh, no,
Reeves,
that was
then
the,
Ryan Reeves got involved.
That, yeah, he said the Reeves sisters, and then he apologized for that.
Okay, so Evander Kane is caught up with all this like I feel like I'm in high school talking about this again.
It sounds like a talk show segment.
Like
I don't know.
later on, we are going to talk about like the things that like the financial barricades of the NHL season coming back, the details of the schedule, and Evander Kane is picking a fight with a YouTuber, and we are talking about it. It's just the moment I saw that Kane tweeted, I knew exactly what was going to happen. And all of a sudden, this clip of Jake Paul on some podcast,
His own
comes out,
podcast.
and he's like saying like, just saying like, he makes a really bad joke. What's the San Jose Shark? Because that's sort of aquatic thing. Like, yeah,
It's a pretty
shark is
good joke.
aquatic, you idiot.
It was a pretty good joke at
Come
the
on.
time.
Dude,
That's pretty good.
I know you worked for Disney, but like, yeah, a shark is a fish. Good job, dude. He says like Paul says something like, "Man, is this?" It was one line that got me. He said, "Is this a headline fight?" And I
No.
knew he was going to say that because you, as an NHL player, have now given this guy to respond, and it's just completely belittled the league now because
Yeah.
Evander Kane is a star player in San Jose, and then a YouTuber has just like belittled him. And then Kane has this stupid line of like, I'm gonna rip that mop off your head and clean the floor with it. Like, dude, why can Kane not just focus on the Hockey Diversity Alliance and all this good stuff?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Picking fights on YouTube. Daniel, please explain it to me.
Because Joe Pavelski signed with Dallas and Joe Thornton signed with Toronto.
Man,
Damn.
Pavelski leaves and that team fell apart.
Oh my God,
Marlo went to
Daniel
Toronto
is.
and Pittsburgh. Like, what happened?
Like, a big thing we've kind of talked about before with San Jose, it's just like in that accountability where, they had 3 captains in a way on that team. And then.
So are you suggesting it's good to have a lot of leadership?
I am.
I'm just asking.
Yes, I am.
Okay, just wanted to clear that up.
It's
yeah.
so embarrassing.
Okay, so Daniel, I think you might be able to answer this for me. Nate Robinson, he was in the dunk contest, right? Like he's a well-known NBA player, somewhat.
Yeah, he won it 3 times.
He won the dunk contest
Like Vince
3
Carter.
times.
That time, right?
He fought this guy fought KSI, who is probably like one of the biggest YouTubers. Why on earth is he going to fight Evander Kane? No offense to Evander Kane from some no-name league. What do you think's more popular? Do you think KSI is more popular? I think KSI is more popular than the NHL.
That's pretty
Like
unfortunate.
I'm
because-
kind of confident in saying that.
That's pretty unfortunate because I know the NBA is a much more popular league, but Nate Robinson, like most of his career, he was a bench player. I remember Nick
no one
Young
cares.
saying like, he doesn't represent the NBA after he got knocked out.
Well, Steph Curry thought he pretty well did. He was pretty confident.
Yeah.
What happened?
A lot of the responses I saw to the Evander Kane ones were like, "Oh, it's different. The way you guys fight in the NHL, like it's different in a boxing match. It's not going to be the same thing."
He'd get knocked out. Unfortunately, this is my understanding of how it goes. When you train for I think this is his second fight, so he has been consistently training for boxing. And I understand he's not fighting actual boxers, but he's still training for boxing. Are you telling me Evander Kane is training for boxing? No, he's not.
Something
No,
has
he's
happened
not.
like this before, though.
Like
He's
what?
definitely he's in great shape. Like Evander Kane in like a scrap can obviously handle himself. Look up Matt Cook for that.
Sure.
But like a professional, it was like, I can't believe I'm gonna take Jake Paul's side on this, but he said, when's he gonna take the time? Like, this isn't gonna happen, obviously. Like, forget about like contracts. Like, I would just hope Gary Bettman just looks at this, laughs, and says, "Yo, Bill, can you call up the Sharks and tell this guy to shut up?"
Yeah, like this is never happening. They'd rip up his contract and say, if you want to go fight, bye. What does he sign? A $49 million contract? Bye. That.
You know what I see here?
What?
A modern day Rocky embedded in social media and memes.
No,
No.
this isn't Rocky.
But you did bring up a good point though about the whole thing about because they were able to do this because Nate Robinson's no longer a player. So like in terms of insurance and everything from the team, there wasn't the factor. But like, yeah, Vander Kane, he is still under contract with the Sharks. I don't think they're going to afford to do that, or the NHL is going to afford to do that. If they don't want to sometimes send certain guys to international tournaments, they're going to let Evander Kane do this.
So we don't want a player to sort of represent his country in this most prestigious tournament they only get a few years to play for in their entire lives, and it's the top 1% of junior hockey. But we're going to let Evander Kane fight some loser YouTuber.
Because I remember Shea Weber, and I love the guy for doing this. He always wants to play for the World Championships. But like, this is when he was coming off surgery, and then he wanted to play. And then the Canadians are like, no.
A real leader.
Yeah.
Please, Shea, one more knee injury and we're going to lose you. We thought your career ended this year. Please, no.
It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. This is just why did he have to get himself involved? The thing is, so him and Robin Leonard, those were the ones who openly said stuff, right? At least Robin Leonard shut up.
Yeah.
He just left it. Yeah. He's pretty good with that though. Like his tweets are very discreet, get to the point, and then he doesn't really beat around the bush.
He's good at Twitter, is Leonard. He's great. He's a funny dude. The whole Panda thing when the Leafs took some of the money in the three-way deal that sent him to Vegas.
Yeah.
It was just a Tavares picture, but with a panda head instead of John Tavares as a kid. It was hilarious.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. The normal, a normal fan, just a normal sports fan, if they, what's more attractive to them? Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul or Evander Kane versus Jake Paul?
This is so sad to say Nate Robinson.
Except Evander Kane's a cool name, and maybe you're like, but no, like
sure.
It's just popularity.
Oh, he plays in the NHL. I don't care, and they turn it off and they go to bed.
What do you mean
That's
San
what
Jose is a hockey team? How does that work?
NHL. What the hell is that?
They have two teams in the desert. How do they keep the ice from melting?
I think I texted Adam this. There are so many more people who enjoy YouTube than enjoy the NHL.
Yeah.
You know how much time I spend on YouTube compared to like anything else? Ridiculous. You know how much Star Wars Clone Wars stuff I was watching on YouTube this week? A lot, but
Same here.
No, you weren't.
Because the last thingy of what do you call it? The newest episode of The Mandalorian had everyone going like, Star Wars Clone Wars, remember that? And like Boba Fett was the thing.
Don't tell me I didn't finish the first season yet.
Well, I haven't started the second season, but there's just been spoilers everywhere.
The first season of the Clone Wars or the first season of Mandalorian?
Oh, both.
Daniel's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna start the Clone Wars, and then a week later, I'm like, okay, I'll start the Clone Wars too. Daniel, never mind. You know what?
I think Alex finished the series before Daniel got to episode 5 of the first season.
I'm just pacing myself.
Yeah.
One episode a year. I understand.
Right. We'll hit the big talking point here. Okay. So, as Alex sort of alluded to earlier, we're still kind of waiting for the NHL to figure out when we're going to be back to playing hockey. So, the NHL and the PA are continuing to talk and try and get the 2021 season going, of course. Here we are on December 6th. And the situation is this. And I'm going to quickly, this is a part of a tweet Pierre LeBrun said. I'm going to quote, economic issues still unresolved. And we will talk about those issues in a moment, but we're going to focus on the scheduling first because it's two very different things. And one is a lot easier to talk about and understand than the other. So January 1st is basically out the window for a start date now.
Yeah.
We're now looking around. Everyone is saying, and this is from the same guys as LeBrun is saying it. Sarah Valley had a great article. CJ and Friedman from Sportsnet. And most of the information I pulled out here, I saw from Sarah Valley's article. So I'll give him the big credit here, attaboy Frank. Now, camps instead would now be starting around January 1st or 2nd, and the season would start either a few days before or after January 15th. The season would wrap up with playoffs as well, probably around like beginning of July, avoiding the Olympics, all that great stuff. If that still happens, Japan says yes. But we'll see. 52 and 56 games scheduled were both sort of proposed here. Non-playoff teams from return to play could have an option to open a voluntary training camp 1 week earlier. By the way, before I list the teams, just remember some organizations don't have their, as of right now, it can change in a month, but some teams don't even have facilities open. The Canadians are one of them as well.
Yeah.
And those 7 teams, for those of you who don't remember, are Buffalo, New Jersey, Anaheim, LA, San Jose, Ottawa, Detroit. It sucks that this is information we wish we sort of had almost a month ago, because it feels like every week I saw a really funny tweet about this, that I think it was from Habs Chronicle on Twitter, saying it feels like this week is so important, has been said for about a month when it comes to return to play. And yeah, we'll talk about money in a second, but let's just, I guess, talk about the whole thing. We've pushed the date back to mid-January now. It looks like if we do have the season, it is in the 50-game mark, guys. We'll start with you, Alex. Your whole general thoughts here before we talk about the money.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. My understanding is the players want Christmas with their families, right?
Which I totally understand.
Oh, I fully no. Yeah. No, I'm not disputing that. I'm just
Yeah.
working around the dates
This
because
is not the NBA.
right.
Yeah, I always hated that.
I'm trying to figure this out here because they'd have to quarantine for 14 days prior to, or at least the Canadian teams would have to quarantine for 14 days prior to starting camp. So
Yeah.
they'd have to start quarantining within the next, I think, 2 weeks.
What is
If I could do
interesting
math.
is some players have started moving,
Which is
Like,
good.
a few Blue Jackets and Alexander Romanov just arrived from Russia a few days ago. But continue. So
They recalled
players are starting-
Kotkaniemi, right? I saw that. Was it Kotkaniemi they recalled?
I saw Romanov. It could have been KK, but all I saw was Romanov. But you're
What
probably right.
players are coming back? Like I saw Lettinen recalled a couple weeks ago, whatever. So, I mean, so here's the thing. If the 15th is true, like I've heard the 15th, I've heard the start of February. Start of February is absolutely dangerous. Like is really dangerous for them to start because the Super Bowl is February 7th. And this league needs to be up and running and rolling from game 1, no matter what. So if you're starting February, you are starting after the Super Bowl. There is no way you are competing on the first week with the Super Bowl. It'd be a nightmare. It'd be like I don't even know what word to use. But listen, the 15th, the middle of January has been done twice, 2013 and I believe 1994. So I'll figure it out.
Prepared with the info there. I like it.
Yeah.
You were just cutting out a bit there.
Oh, what?
You got,
No,
you
no.
got your numbers out unless you said something afterwards.
No, I didn't say no. Go. You guys can go ahead.
Daniel.
Yeah, I like what Alex kind of said. That I think I kept saying those kind of random numbers here and there before. Like I said, 54 and 65, and it's leaning more towards the 50 or even how 2013 went, the 48 game season. And I think that the unfortunate thing was the momentum the league had coming into these negotiations. When it came to planning, I think what we said before was a lot of this got us excited because we really were in the dark before the bubbles came in for the playoffs and the play-in rounds. And now when they talked about the all Canadian division, that's something that still could happen. But when they brought up that idea, it just kind of felt like there was a more concrete plan in place already for how they were gonna do all of this. And when we talked about the World Juniors, how that might be a pilot project on what they're going to do moving forward now, especially when all these guys are coming from the United States, they're coming from places in Europe. And I don't like to see the headlines where if an NHL season happens, because I still believe it can happen. And they've shown before that there's ways around all of these health concerns that can happen. It's on the players, I think. And we've talked about St. Louis. It's on the players, and I don't know how to really like kind of see these things, because I think when we talked about like the second wave and how to kind of maneuver with it, it just kind of keeps me into like, I guess, like an in between of what's the trade off, or what are the things that can happen now to kind of avoid what we saw with like the MLB. And I'm going to just use the MLB as another example, because when we thought everything was going well, something happens on the last game of it in the World Series.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a health thing though. Like I think I think if I'm the NHL, I look at all these plans that the NFL, the MLB, the Premier League, the Bundesliga, all these leagues have done, and I think that's what they're working with. I don't think it's a health concern though, unfortunately.
What I'm curious about is we still 100% don't know where everyone will be playing, because there were reports coming out. I think Freeman was the first one I saw say this, that some teams were looking at the logistics of doing outdoor games. And one of the teams he was mentioning was Los Angeles. And I was thinking,
Yeah, at Anaheim.
okay.
Does it make sense there?
Now, because here's the thing. I'm thinking that I'm also hearing when I watch, I don't want to say hearing isn't, I don't have sources. My sources are the guys who have sources.
Yeah, exactly.
But like when I hear, I think it was one of the TSN guys talking about the costs alone of buying tests. And I start thinking, okay, so how are you in California going to maintain outdoor ice and save money? It's just, and that's where my concern is as well. Like, there's the money hurdle. It looks like great. We still don't exactly know when we're gonna play, and we don't know where we are playing. Now, I think if you have to relocate teams to, I'm trying to think who has the best facilities, but then like if I think about like Hamilton or whatever, I'm wondering, okay, well then we need to start getting cases down. Like, and I understand like the vaccine is coming and all that. Like I hope COVID cases, but I just look at the numbers and I'm like, what is it? Ontario's at like 1924 today. Quebec's at 2013. There's still just so many questions for me. And what really the red flag is I feel like I shouldn't have these many questions just under a month away from where you initially planned to start the season. I blame more. I just think there's so much going wrong here. And when I saw the in the NBA the Russell Westbrook trade happened, that's so difficult for me to say. When that trade happened, I tweeted out, I feel kind of out of the loop when a basketball trade happens, because while all this stuff is happening for the NBA, people are arguing about the Pelicans getting a Christmas Day game. What does the NHL have to show right now when they were so good at the bubble? They were the ones who set the standards. Everyone talking about how good the NBA did. The NHL did it better. They had all this sort of momentum and hope around them. And then planning this season coming up has just sort of, I feel like they've completely dropped the ball. And I think everyone involved has a part to play in this. And
there's 2 points that you guys kind of brought up that made me think about that I think has become a reality for all of us during COVID. Is we already knew it, but we just didn't know the tangibles of it, is the wealth disparity between leagues. Like we talk about the NHL a lot, but man, like the way the NBA, like when you said that Russell Westbrook trade, it just kind of, in a way, like made sense. Like, these two teams just moved like what, 42 million from one team to the other.
And Anthony Davis just signed for, by the way.
Yeah, that's like about
combined $80.5 million per year.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking we thought it was an amazing kind of fair deal for what Toffoli signed for. And I'm looking at LeBron James, and he's making nearly as much as Connor McDavid in 2 years. Go on, Daniel. But when you,
but yeah, it just kind of disparity. We already knew that wealth disparity going on, but just like and like those added costs, it sounds like a university budget. Like you already know what you're gonna have to set, what your cap is in terms of tuition, in terms of expected expenses, but then something happens and then you have to spend more for all these things.
That was a great analogy.
Or just don't even consider lowering tuition like some other schools have certainly done.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to all three of us wearing our Ryerson swag.
Yeah.
Just I don't know if you guys get the same impression that I do. We are in a similar situation to what we were, I believe it was around May-ish, when the league announced what they were gonna. Well, they hadn't announced it yet, but it was rumored that this is what the playoff structure is gonna look like. But there was no plan for the bubble. There was no plan for how the bubble would work and all that stuff. Now we're literally sitting in that exact same scenario.
That you're exactly right. That is, I sense some deja vu for a second there.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Red Bull have a questionable thing in their second seat? What do you mean? Oh, gee, well, there's drama around selection for the World Juniors. I don't. We should probably move on to the part that is not fun here. And
Yeah.
is money and escrow ever fun to talk about? No.
Sometimes.
It kind of sounds like for Mr. Loves the business side of it, yes. But
Future commissioner.
Commissioner Nimian. All right, we got to talk about the money side of things because money talks, and I feel like if there is a border for anything here, it's going to be the money. Because if the league and the players can't come together to agree on this, then we're just not going to get a season. And the owners have incentive to just say, we're not doing this. Because what was it? Brian Burke, an owner, said that if we don't play, we only lose $15 million. And if we do play, it was like triple the amount.
60. Yeah.
60.
Now you tell me what's better.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. I'm not that good at math.
Yeah. Well, hey, close enough. In the past few episodes, we've kind of briefly touched on it, but now we should probably do a real nice deep dive on this. By the way, stay tuned. We do a deep dive on the Nashville Predators later on in the episode. Mm-hmm. And besides the elephant in the room being COVID cases, we already kind of talked about that. Money is there. And I'm just going to read a little snippet of Frank Saravelli's article because I personally cannot put it into words, just kind of how everything is going. And Frank does an amazing job. Probably why he's head of the Riders Association. Players are due 72% of their salaries in 2021, with 20% being taken off to owners to repay their revenue shortfalls from the 2019-2020 pause season, followed by a 10% deferral that will be repaid by the owners in 3 seasons. Will they get the money back? You hope so, but no. The NHL has asked players to defer an additional 16% in salary to aid in owner cash flow for 2021 and also requested amendments to the escrow cap for later years in the deal to better balance how quickly the owner's loan to players is repaid. And this is a very important part because at first right now you may be thinking greedy owners. No. Because revenue projections are short for the 2021 season and the $81.5 million salary cap is delinked from revenue, it is possible that the players' debt to owners will balloon to $2 billion by the end of next season.
Oh my God. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah.
Holy, that's I can't even think about how the math was going to work on this.
Now, and the owners have a right to just say we're going to can this season here.
Yeah, force majeure.
Now, force majeure, the fancy legal term. That sounds cool.
It does.
Force majeure. It's kind of French.
No.
Okay. It's just I believe the escrow, by the way, is another, like, it's 2% or something additional, like, on top. Friedman tweeted something about it. Let me just find it here. Yeah. Tougher to get a strong grip on economic discussions, obviously very sensitive. Players have made it clear they will not touch, 6% escrow cap in final 3 years of the CBA, and we'll see on deferring money. Both sides are still working at it. Now, the league is in a very weird spot here. And by league, I mean like the entire NHL, players included here. Because escrow has always felt like it's at the damn heart of these CBAs. We had labor peace for like the summer, and now we're done.
For 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. And if the players, like, I don't see, a lot of them will probably, people may think, and I made this point earlier, like a few months ago, and I realize how wrong I am now. Recorded. I don't often admit how wrong I am often, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're the MLB who play, like, their players got full thing, but baseball makes money. Okay. The players cannot afford to be all sticky here because they're going to lose the money in the long term. They're going to owe even more. I think, as Brian Burke said, they're equal partners.
50-50.
If the CBA a few months ago says one thing, well, guys, I'm sorry, but it's a pandemic.
Things have changed.
Mhm.
I think things have changed. I think they're, despite, I think, what it seems like things haven't changed, I think things have changed.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so what I mean by that is because I was listening to some things from agents. Obviously, I understand the agents are going to argue the player side, saying, well, the current the memorandum of understanding, which was just essentially an extension of the CBA with some things that were updated.
Mm-hmm.
There are things in there that would make sure that the owners get paid back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the owners are going to get paid back. Like, this isn't like, I don't want to get people thinking that that's not going to happen. It's going to take years and years and years, because not like right now, escrow is 20%, right? And Brian Burke said this in April, that 20%, that just doesn't work. And the more I think about it, and the more I read more things, he's right. Like, how is 20%? Right now, the owners have lost this season, if they don't have any fans in the stands, bare minimum 50%. The league has lost 50% revenue, but the players are getting paid 72% at the moment.
It's a lot.
So there's a huge discrepancy. And escrow's going down over the slightly over this CBA extension. So how is the money gonna, if they're gonna be out $2 billion? And I know, like, I don't want to live in la la land here. Like, money, it's $2 billion, and I understand they're billionaires who are owners, but I don't think they like losing money, right? I understand they can afford to lose money, but that doesn't mean they like to lose money.
It makes more sense to them, to the owners, to just can the season with the money they can save. Like, the players, they don't, like, I don't know if some of them are realizing this. If they don't go along with this, and then the owners say, no, we're not playing, they're the ones losing the most here.
Zero. They get
lose
zero.
Their salary for the year. And listen, cutting back, I don't feel bad for McDavid if he loses a year of his salary, because remember that house he just finished and everyone's showing off? I don't feel bad.
No.
Am I going to feel bad for the depth guys, the guys I love advocating for? Yes. But then if your top guys, because from what I understand, normally the players who are normally the team representative on, the sort of, like, for the PA, are never the scrubs, I hate to call them, the nice guys who try hard and love the game.
Heart and soul guys.
It's Brendan Gallagher for the Canadians, or Paul Byron at one time. I believe, like, even the return to play committee has had, like, a few Leafs on it, like John Tavares, like the guy who, like, signing bonus litten contracts, right? I'm not going to feel bad for Carey Price losing. No. Oh, you don't get $13 million this year. Sorry, Carey, you can only keep 3 of your
He'll still get his
houses.
Under Armour money.
Yeah, I mean, how bad is, it's just his bell money that he gets, going to a bus stop, his McDonald's burger that I'm sure he has.
We feel bad
Carey
for the
burger.
Martin Marinchens of the world. Right?
Yes, I was going to say that. I don't know if that was like
the Jake Evans of the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Throwing some Montreal guys
Victor
in there.
Mete.
Okay.
Like,
Victor
I feel
Mete.
Alex Belzile, like the AHL.
Joe
guy.
Thornton. No.
No, I don't feel that guy saw a lot of
Smart
money.
with your money. And
Yeah.
you're a guy who has, like, a big signing bonus that you've had for a few years. You should be fine if you are smart with your money, and that's what your agent is for. Though, those guys who are fighting and clawing to stay in the league that don't make that sort of money, and if they get sent down to the AHL, are only going to make $60,000 before taxes, by the way.
Wow.
Their families are in such jeopardy here. I mean, I hate taking the owner's side. Like, in the Canadians, by the way, the team I love so much, if they lose a year of the season, that's another year of Price and Weber that they've lost.
Yeah.
That's disastrous. But I would agree with the owners if they did, like, they canned it. It would break my heart that we don't get like more hockey. I'll just fall further into the side of liking F1, but
Oh, I thought we were gonna do a year of bizarre adventures.
we
We're
might
getting
have
to EuroLeague basketball.
But this should
True.
not be. And Bettman said we're not negotiating because
We're not renegotiating.
We're not renegotiating here. Like, but
Listen.
I get what he's saying. I'm on the owner's side, and I hate it.
This is so odd, you know. Like I feel like here's what happened, and I think I had texted this. I don't remember if it was in the group chat or to Adam. As soon as the PA leaked the first thing, it was over. It was over. The players already won. The players won the media thing. But what I don't think the players understand, or what the PA hadn't thought about, is that Gary Bettman doesn't care what the media thinks. If Gary Bettman wants something done, Gary Bettman's gonna get it done, man. Like, there a lot of people do not like Gary Bettman.
No.
And it's fair.
no.
You have your reasons, whatever. I don't think he's as bad as everyone says. That's fine. But when Gary Bettman wants something done, Gary Bettman's going to get it done. It doesn't matter if the media doesn't like it. It doesn't matter if the fans don't like it. Gary Bettman represents the owners. He's the commissioner of the NHL. He doesn't care what the media thinks.
This is the guy who will go into a packed stadium in the playoffs and say, "Yeah, give me the booze. I'll take it."
I aspire to have that confidence one day.
Honest, yeah.
Your hatred makes me stronger, Winnipeg. Like,
Honestly,
that's what he is. He's the
it's like
GM
Emperor
for it.
Palpatine.
This whole
Yeah.
like development of like the financial aspects of this, I remember I just remembered it with 31 Thoughts like 4 or 5 months ago, where the first ask was from these owners that they just wanted compliance buyouts, but like, but who's gonna pay for it? And then the way it kind of has, it's kind of blooded into now. It's weird because a lot of the times when we look at these things, when we look at like the financial aspects of it, we always kind of think, all right, well, we're prepped for next season. But like when your window is between the Stanley Cup finals and now, it is what it is now, what we're seeing.
Do you think there's going to be packed stadiums anytime soon?
Like I've made the joke that the retro reverse jerseys are there to compensate for it, but I don't know what else they're going to be able to do.
I see that $300 price tag is still there, ladies and gentlemen.
It's even okay. I was thinking about this because there's so much, because of COVID, there's been a lot of fear instilled, rightfully so. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, because COVID is a serious issue. Even with the vaccine, do you think people's mindsets just going to change like that? Probably
No.
not. Consumer confidence is not going to magically jump to whatever it was at before again. Like, I still think maybe in certain markets, when we have the ability to have packed stadiums, there's certain cities that might be a thing, but I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. And I think a lot of people are thinking about it. What is the impact now? But it's not now. It's for the future. Do you know how many the next contracts are going to be screwed? Because for the next 7 years, we're going to have the same cap.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nightmare. You thought Tampa is in a poor place. Imagine more than one team in Tampa's position.
I think of
And I
mean,
don't
they're
mean
good.
the winning situation. I
Yeah.
mean the cap hell.
You know what I'm thinking of, and I've brought it up before,
Yeah.
is age didn't kill the Colorado Avalanche dynasty. The 2005 lockout did.
You always mention that, yeah, that it was because of that they lost Forsberg.
They lost Forsberg, and then they lost Adam Foote. And then they didn't re-sign like a bunch of guys, and then like David Abisher had to stay on as, I guess, Patrick was successor. Like he had one good season, and then you know what happened afterwards.
And yeah, filling the shoes of the greatest goalie of all time. By the way, Daniel, did you see that New Jersey Devils tweet
I know you're gonna.
about the Blues? Oh, yeah, my brother played all but like 6 games and he played with us. And then New Jersey just said delete. I wanted to tweet at that saying I didn't know Daniel was running New Jersey social media.
You know what? I told you the story
That's
about
funny.
how I bought the Brodeur jersey, right?
I don't
Remind me.
think so.
So I got the
Mind the fans.
authentic one when they were when they used to be with Reebok, and
Okay.
I remember going to, was it Lids? I can't remember, but I remember that jersey was in the traded players section, like a Martin Brodeur jersey, and it
That's
was like
slap in the face.
85% off.
That's terrible.
Oh
And I just laughed at that. Where
man.
like somewhere someone bought a full price St. Louis Blues Martin Brodeur jersey.
Respect. And then by like in 2 weeks later, it's like, all right, we're done here.
That's the end of that.
Is there anything else you guys would like to touch on? Anything to do if we can return to play or anything before we move on?
I mean, listen, there's like 10. I think Berkey or Friedman said there's like 10 to 12 owners who are more than happy to not play. If that number increases, it's going to be very unfortunate.
Daniel, anything to say?
I'm gonna have to kind of agree with you guys too, that I'm seeing the owner side of things, and you know, as journalists, you kind of separate that, I guess, bias we have where, you know, we're in Montreal, we're in Toronto, we're in these situations where I think sometimes we are in our own bubble of like, what do you mean there's gonna be no hockey? But like I think of the people who, you know, are fans, or even like the workers or the players themselves in like Arizona or San Jose or
That's just it.
Florida, where it's like that's more of the reality. So it's just definitely something I got to think about as the negotiation, as you know, if no more negotiations happen, or how this all plays out.
One,
It makes me wonder then. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
no, go ahead.
It just then makes me wonder, okay, how does this year off like affect the salaries of scouts, of arena workers, if you can get back in there? You know, the people who, the arena working staff, remember how big of a controversy that was when COVID first started and how guys weren't getting, or sorry, you know, people in general weren't getting paid? How does it affect those guys? Like the training staff, the security workers. I mean, the Canadians have had like the same head of security dude since like the 70s. What happens to that guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
What
I
happens
mean,
to the friendly guy who goes between the Brassard training complex? Like,
yeah.
it just makes you think, like, what's
Or you know, those nice people selling the programs. I think of that.
Those
50
guys.
50, Moitié,
50,
Yeah.
Moitié, ladies and messieurs, 5 $, Moitié, Moitié. Like, yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
I
remember.
love
what
it
I'm
when they
thinking
yell.
about right now, and I know we've talked about it before, but I honestly think of the Arizona Coyotes right now, where it's a team that was already down, already made these mistakes, and it's like they're just getting kicked again.
Imagine being a new owner, and this is within the first year and a half of you owning the team. This is what we're doing.
Doesn't he own casinos too? The Gutierrez? No, is it Gutierrez?
I'm not sure. No, Gutierrez is the CEO. I
Ah,
don't know who Marullo, I think. Alex Marullo. Merullo. Just I guess I have one last point. I think there's going to be a huge effect on the money portion, but I have a weird feeling, and you know, you started to see it going into the playoffs, and not just in hockey. I think in the other sports as well, is where like viewership was down, just in general for sports. I don't exactly know why. Like I haven't looked into it, but it was down, right? And now the NBA is going to be starting up. The NFL's kind of getting into their prime time type, I guess, prime time part of the season, where the playoffs, the end of the season, playoff, Super Bowl. What other sport? Like the NHL, if they don't play, they're going to get left behind.
mhm.
And the casual fan, how like I think I don't remember where I was talking about it, but we're so the NHL and I think just because we've had so many issues, we're so focused on the business end in the money, the escrow, the salary cap. And I see it all the time here in Toronto because you know what? They were garbage for 15 years and now we're just accustomed to talking about the money end of the sport. We need to make sure that we move out of that because no one cares. No one cares about unfortunately, no one cares about the salary cap. No one cares about escrow. Well, maybe not unfortunately, but
it's such a turnoff.
it's about the game, like what's being played on the ice. And yes, there's always going to be times where, the salary cap's going to be important, this and that. But when you're talking about it every other day for the entire season, the only time I really want to hear about salary cap implications, extension, free agency. That's it. Like, when else should you really hear about salary cap implications?
I don't want to ever hear about it. Like, unless it's like, oh, the cheeky trade to get around the salary. It's like,
Right.
Oh,
The sweeteners.
by the way, Alex Morello, or however you say it, billionaire who owns business interest in banking, should be fine, but real estate, media, restaurants, food, casinos, and pro sports.
Oh boy.
So,
Not the brother of Tom, right?
no, I don't know who that is. Who's
Okay.
Tom Morello?
No, you're thinking it's spelled differently. I know
Okay.
what Daniel's getting at. Not the same guy.
You know when you Google something and then there's other like people also ask?
Yeah.
Like I saw one that says who owns La Pizza Loca, and I'm like, okay, it's like Alex Morello, and it says Alex Morello hopes to someday. This is in 1991. Listen to this. This is amazing. Alex Morello hopes to someday be known as the Pizza King of Southern California's Latino community. The energetic, boyish-looking 27-year-old founder of the Buena Park-based La Pizza Loca restaurant trade chain is off to a good start. Is
That was in
did
1991.
this guy start a pizza shop and he's a billionaire?
This sounds like a feature story that we should do.
No way.
It does sound like a future story.
Wait, 27. If he was 27 now and he's like 50, are we doing math? He's 56 now. He'll be next year. He'll be 57. This year, next year, yeah. In March, he'll be 20. He'll be 57.
It'll be 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
It's him. Wow. He started a pizza chain. That's all good for him.
That's pretty cool.
Maybe get a hold of your hockey team and everything that's going on with that. Watch who you draft. But
Do they have that pizza at the Arizona games?
oh, they have to. That's amazing.
That's a good point.
Good.
Like
for
I always,
him.
you know what, Dan, you bring up a good point. I always think about that. I don't know if you like. I enjoy watching Shark Tank. You know Shark Tank. You know
Yeah.
Dragons.
Yeah,
Then
Kevin
just
O'Leary
the
and all that.
yeah. So Mark Cuban's always on there, and every time he makes an offer, I think, well, man, is that going to be in the Dallas Mavericks stadium? Probably not, but it just goes through my head. Just want to
Savvy
point that
guy.
out. Savvy guy. I do like
You
him.
think like just Molson's at the Bell Center? I never really see people. Listen to this. Morello began his career in his father's tuxedo business. At the age of 23, he decided to open a new type of pizza restaurant catering to Latinos in the U.S. and offering unusual toppings such as chorizo and jalapenos. He bought a failing pizza restaurant called the new business the Pizza Loca. In 5 years, it opened 12 restaurants and meets $10 million. He started in a
Oh.
casino shop,
Wow.
opened a restaurant, turned into a chain, and now he's a billionaire.
That's pretty cool.
Good, that's awesome. La
Yeah.
Pizza Loca. I want to get some Pizza Loca now. Right. So shall we go to the deep dive?
Yeah.
All right.
That was awesome. What a
Those-
turn.
Yeah. What a turn.
Yeah. Now we get to talk about from serious and all this great stuff to just a team that just mediocre. The
Can I
Nashville-
start this with a joke?
Sure.
When I was a kid, I thought Rick Nash played for Nashville.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because Nashville. So I'm like, yeah, of
Oh
course he
my
plays here. Like same thing too when like I never got to watch him play because I wasn't born, but I thought Magic Johnson played on the Orlando Magic.
Same actually. Why not? I see that.
The
Good.
names just fit.
Yeah. But the Nashville Predators. I mean, God, what can you say about this team? They were looking so high and mighty in 2017, making it to the Cup final. losing in controversial fashion after the Leafs. Sorry, not the Leafs. The refs blew off a Philip Forsberg goal that probably should have counted. I remember. And then just in 2018, they lose to the Jets in the playoffs. And it's just, since then, it just hasn't quite been the same in Nashville. I mean, normally we start with the goalies, but I mean, talk about a horrible situation when it comes to the cap. They have room right now, but for some reason they bought out Steven Santini because, okay, remember the
Why
Subban
not?
trade, guys. And then they bought out Kyle Turris, who for looks like till the end of time is a buyout that's going to be $2 million against the cap. But in net, I mean, in one more year of Pekka Rinne at 38, and UC Saros, who just hasn't been anything. Again, this is the team that lost to Arizona in the qualifying round. The same Coyotes who got torn apart by Colorado.
I mean, I don't think UC Saros is awful. Like, I think he had one poor year. And even this year, he played 40 games, 914.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Oh, I'll take that back then. Good for him.
Like, I don't think he had a very good playing round, but like, I think they're fine when Pekka Rinne leaves. Let me put it like that.
Yeah.
And I'll let Daniel tell us who they have once Pekka Rinne leaves.
Who's the future in that?
I mean, like, as much as we love Yaroslav Askarov, I already kind of know it's going to take a few years for them to kind of figure out things. I mean, by the time you figure out things, they're still going to be paying Roman Yossi and like Matt Duchene and Ryan Ellis. So, they'll be okay with that. But yeah, I think what we've said before, it's been the same narrative. What we've always said with Nashville is they're going to take a step back. They're not going to, I think it's time to kind of say, we're not where we were before and try to figure out like what they kind of have in the system, what they could kind of do like in terms of like, those low risk, high reward type signings, because that money is going to evaporate eventually. Like, I don't think Luke Cunning's going to demand a lot, but what I've seen with Dante Fabro, I think he's going to become something. And of course they're going to want to have to upgrade a lot of pieces that I'm seeing on this team where what we said before the show started, like, I didn't know Rocket Grimaldi or, Cal Jornkruk or, Nick Cousins were getting,
Cousins? What?
Getting like, close, like 2 million or close to it. Like, these are guys where I kind of felt that, you could have signed someone for like 900,000 to 700,000, see what they become. And, it's still kind of be similar performances.
You know why they overpaid Nick Cousins, right?
Why is that?
What do Nashville love to do more than anything else?
Overpay centers.
Overpay centers.
So here's the thing with this team is, and I feel like we still don't really have an answer. What on earth is this team?
Interested in Hoffman for some reason.
Interested in Hoffman. I saw they were interested in Granlund too, and I think they might be interested in Duclair. They must still think they have it. That maybe they're betting on Pekka Rinne having a good season because I think last year he didn't have a good season.
He's like Bobrovsky. It's just flip a coin. Good season.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah. I don't know, man. They're such an odd team, and I don't want to say they're at this point yet, but they're getting there where they're kind of like Minnesota, but they're not that bad. Like, they're hovering in like, well, we can make the playoffs, but we're not really going to do much in it. Where I feel like Minnesota right now is like, we can make the playoffs, but we're probably not.
Would you say that Nashville took a step back this offseason?
Is that where we put them?
In our off-season tier
there we
list?
go.
Yeah.
They did take a step back. They did take a step back.
Check out last episode.
But did they do much to take a step back? Like, they lost Craig Smith, which, listen,
that's 3 steps back. No,
I know. I understand. But they took a step back by letting one player go. They added Cousins and Brad Richardson and Mark Boriecki.
Well, no, they lost Smith and Granlund.
Oh, and
Granlund
Granlund. Sorry, you're right.
Return,
They
and kind of tourist too, but yeah.
I don't know. If it's Ottawa, losing Churris. I'm like, oh, that sucks, but he just never fit in there, right?
Yeah.
It sucks, but
Like I feel like they took steps back by not doing much.
yeah. And I think, like, listen, I wouldn't hate them bringing in Hoffman because they need scoring. It's just, it really feel like forward wise, because I know everyone's going to say Yossi, but forward group wise, it's really been Arvidsson and Forsberg. Like, Duchesne's been disappointing.
Yeah.
Why did we not see that coming?
I have a
Sorry,
question.
Matt. Yeah.
Who do you feel more comfortable being your first line center on this team?
Between what, like, of anyone, or like
Johansson.
between
Johansson, Duchesne.
Does Johansson have a better attitude off the ice?
I mean, like, these are guys that are both paid like crazy, and then like they barely hit 50 points.
Brad Richardson is who I prefer.
You're gonna put as your first line center?
Kalle
It's
Yarncrook.
Like Duchesne is like, he was on the World Cup of Hockey. I don't know if he's been on. Has he been on the Olympic team?
Which one?
Duchesne.
Yeah, he was like the extra guy on the 2014 team.
What did he do? He had 42 points this year, and then what did Johansson have? 36. I mean, they're just the epitome of players are Duchesne and Johansson that, like, I'm so happy that Montreal didn't end up signing him. It's just that thing of like, you need a first line center, but you think it's this guy when in reality he is depending on the system, a second line center. Like,
Yeah.
I think, let me ask you guys this. I'm being a bit pissy here, I know, but would you prefer Johansson, Duchesne, or Philip Deneau?
Oh, Philip Deneau.
Philip Deneau.
Like, that's
As a
like,
first
that's an
line
issue.
center? As a first line center? Yeah, Philip
Yeah,
Deneau.
right now at this point, yeah.
Because it's like, it shows like Deneau would be like the perfect second line center on like Pittsburgh. Not Pittsburgh because Malkin, but like on so many teams, like you would love to have a Deneau or like a Kadri or anything, right?
Yeah.
If you're not like a Toronto or Pittsburgh who can, have two freaking heart contenders any other day. But it's just like, they're both just so meh.
And that's the
40
thing.
player, like
That-
40
that's
point
the thing.
players, right?
The thing I think about is like when you look at these two guys, were they ever really the guy when they were putting up those numbers? Like when I look at Matt Duchesne, like he was a bit, I don't know, like he was kind of sheltered in a way where, if he wasn't having the best game in Colorado, like they had Paul Stastny and like Ryan O'Reilly to roll out.
Isn't it funny that the moment he left is when McKinnon became a god? And I mean, in Ottawa, he was the only other guy there. And like, let's be honest, if Carlson was still around, it was going to be Eric. I mean, isn't that funny that Duchesne would have been on another team where he's outshined by a star defenseman, which is now the case in Nashville with
Nashville.
Yossi.
They're trying to reignite the Mike Hoffman, Matt Duchesne chemistry.
Oh God. So here's the reason I picked Deneau, just to quickly answer. I know what I'm getting in Deneau, right? Like I know he's gonna be consistent. I don't have to worry. Whereas I don't know what I'm getting in Johansson and Duchesne. Like one night I can get this, and another night I can get the complete opposite. I feel like I don't know what I'm getting out of those two guys on a consistent basis. Whereas Deneau, maybe he's not a first line center per se, but I'm more confident having him as a first line center than the other two.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm
go
looking back on past Leaf years. I'm more comfortable having Tyler Bozak on that first line.
Wow. Holy. Okay. I didn't think it was that bad,
Okay.
but you know what?
I
It's
think
your
it's like
opinion. It's your
when
opinion.
you put that like comparable of like expected performance versus salary.
Yeah.
I think the better value is like Phil Deneau and Tyler Bozak.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah. I don't know if I'd choose Tyler Bozak. but
Okay.
I'm
trying to appeal to you, Alex, with this.
I get the point you're making.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I've just realized? Philip Forsberg has only 2 years left on this deal.
Yeah.
He's leaving.
Yeah. Like, I'm just trying to quickly throw some lines here together that I'm thinking, all right. So your first line is some combination of Forsberg, Arvidsson, and who you want as your center, Duchesne or Johansson. It doesn't really matter.
Whoever can get the puck to either of those guys.
I think Johansson as like for my own personal thing, as a sign to like, hey Matt, you're going to be on the second line because we don't trust you right now.
I I would actually prefer Duchesne because at least he's got some wheels on him.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's also gonna be his only his second season in Nashville.
He might bounce back.
And Ryan, right? And you don't really like how many years have they had Ryan Johansson and like they've literally been looking for another center since Ryan Johansson's been on this team.
Remember when Seth Jones played 60 minutes in the 5 overtime game?
I do remember that. That was absolutely incredible.
I mean, I'm looking at like this is Johansson. This was his 5th year, I believe, his 4th full one, but because he got traded in 2015. And it's like, you know what, and I know this very well being a Canadians fan. You're in trouble down the middle if half your roster is listed as center/winger.
Mm-hmm.
And they have Duchesne and Johansson both as C wingers.
Yeah.
Same with Colton Sisson. Same with Jan Krook and Nick Cousins. And the only 2 guys who are listed here as natural centermen are Brad Richardson and Yakov Trenin, who
That
I
guy,
don't
he
believe
sounds
is.
Can we pick him as the first line center?
He's on COVID loan. I don't know what that is, cat friendly, but
Oh, the guys who are just loaned.
Yeah,
because
to
of
like other
COVID.
leagues. Yeah.
6 points in 21 games played. He's 23. And in the pipeline, I mean, Patrick Harper, Josh Wilkins, Philip Tomasino, Thomas Novik, Igor Afaseyev, Zachary Magwood, Sean Malone, Anthony Richard, Michael McCarron.
I laughed at that. Michael McCarron and Jared Tenardi are both on this team.
If you're not good enough to make Montreal's defensive core a few years ago like Tenardi was, I think that says plenty about you. No offense. How was he on Nashville's?
He probably
did he?
just a depth option.
Michael McCarron?
No,
Jared Tenardi.
Oh, Jared Tenardi.
How the hell did he make it?
I don't know.
He's probably going to take that spot. To be honest with you.
Yeah, the thing with this team is it's not like, yes, I know Askarov's going to take a few years, but I think Pekka Rinne, let's just say he retires, you put in a 1B type guy with UC Saros, I think you're fine. Your defense, I think, is more than fine. Yossi, Ellis, Ekholm, Dante Fabro. Like, that's a pretty damn good defense.
I remember for previews, it was Elliot Freeman who said, I remember they were talking a lot about Connor Ingram, where something happened with him in Tampa, and then he's traded to Nashville, and then suddenly he's like one of the best goalies in the AHL. I think they're still kind of banking on him to become something, but I don't know. It's a thing too, where I remember some people said that, not getting Askarov because you have Connor Ingram, but there's so many unknowns with that as well still.
Right. Like, I think worst case, you trade someone.
What would worry me is I'm looking at these defensemen, right? And Nashville is known for that defensive core. Okay, I think it's like Ellis Yossi. I'm like by pair, like Ekholm Fabro. Ekholm is so underrated too. And your third pair gonna be like Benning Borwecki. Who cares? But I think Tenardi's just around, right? And I'm looking at some of these guys where I'm like, Yossi is already 30 years old, and the contract is kicking in now. Ellis is already 29. Ekholm is 30. And Borwecki is 31. And I'm thinking, okay, even if he is a Carter Hart type and he's playing in the league by 21 years old, that's 2-3 years down the line for Askarov.
Yeah.
What do all these defensemen and the rest of these guys look like in a few years? Again, Duchesne's already 20, 29. Right. Johansson is not, he's 28, but you remember that shoulder injury in the playoffs a few years ago kind of derailed his career by the looks of it. I'm worried about this team and how they look in a few years. And by the time Askarov is ready, they'll still be on the hook for Kyle Turris.
And I think that reason alone is why they're still they're still interested in Hoffman. They're still interested in Granlund. They're still interested in Duclair because they still want to compete.
Because they're that team we've talked about before where I think they have a lot of fans when they're performing, but Nashville, I remember in the 2010s, 2009s, they were a team that they were just kind of getting by putting whoever they can to score and just making the playoffs. And they were a team that I know that even the owners at one point were thinking of relocating.
Remember after 2017, that building was the place to be. It
Yeah.
was like the whole like you sucked the opposite goalie. It's all your fault. It's all your last time I watched a Nashville game,
Yeah.
that was not a full arena. They were not chanting very loudly.
Because they don't have celebrity Mike Fisher there anymore.
Stop it.
I remember when he
Jerry
got
Underwood.
traded there, and like the headlines were like, Carrie Underwood's husband traded to the Nashville Predators.
It's like
Good.
Mike Fisher at his cottage, and you're like, no, it's not his cottage. It's
Yeah,
Carrie's
it's
cottage.
Carrie's
Let's be
cottage.
honest. He decorated one of the rooms. That's what his salary kicks. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, Mike Fisher, what a weird player to think about. Former captain of the Nashville Predators. For like
I
a
used to.
season, he's Weber left. They didn't know what to
Yeah.
do.
Right. Again, I think it kind of is, what the hell is this team?
Yeah. I think we can be happy leaving it there with Nashville. Leaving on what are you? I don't think they're
More to come.
dumpster fire. Yeah, more to come.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, sure. So I'm looking at the clock. I started a stopwatch when I said we're back. We're at an hour 21 minutes here.
That's not bad.
No, I think that was really good. I think that's the perfect length. I think today was a really good episode as well, guys.
Yeah.
Nice and relaxing. We got through the topics.
Yeah.
You know, I really had a fear we were going to talk about Jake Paul for like an hour and a half. So
I
I'm
was
happy.
not
gonna
I'm
let
that
happy.
happen.
We
that
could have done it.
we
We could have
did.
done it. We can continue the conversation.
The moment we get to who would win in the fight is when you know we've gone too far. That was when I was thinking, I'm like, all right, I need to find a transition out of it because I'm not giving this any more time.
We'll leave the
All right,
conversation down to the comments from the listeners.
Who's
There we
gonna
go,
win in
Daniel.
the fight?
There we
Jake
go.
Paul or Evander Kane?
Or
Oh,
Chris Paul.
Yeah, who's Chris?
Chris Paul? You mean the basketball player?
Yeah.
Phoenix Suns?
I was gonna try and sneak in a Clippers locker room joke in there, but I can't.
Oh
think of it.
man, that has been something
Yeah.
else this week.
Yeah.
Are they the new Ottawa Senators?
I mean, one team actually made the playoffs and got kind of close and has fans in the building and sell tickets, and the other ones are not that.
All right. So
They
what's a
had to
very
rely
popular
on the-
team imploding then?
What?
What's a very popular NHL team imploding right now?
Vancouver? They
Vancouver.
weren't at that level.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah,
years
that's a good comparable.
Yes.
Wait, so is Patrick Kane Kawhi Leonard or
No.
No,
Paul George?
Taves, because they're both super serious.
Okay,
Kane
Taves
has
is Kawhi Leonard.
somewhat of a personality.
Okay.
Not creative with the name of his children, though. Patrick Kane the third. Not a great name.
Not Jonathan Kane?
I didn't even know he was the second. He was a junior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should put on his jersey.
He
Kane
should.
too.
He should.
Nah, Kane looks cool by itself. Kane's a cool name. With a K. With a C, it's lame.
So
Unless it's like-
wait.
Unless it's Michael Kane, because he spells it differently. And he's
Yeah.
got the accent. Must have
I didn't
win.
even know you.
Did you
could
ever listen
spell
to
it
the
with a
song
C.
by Madness?
No.
It's I Am Michael Caine.
Who was the #1 song on your guys' Spotify Wraps this year?
I have to check.
System of the Down.
No, I don't think it was that.
I think mine was
it
like Leon Bridges.
No, I'll tell you right now. I don't remember the song, but for some reason, it was. Oh, what? Who the hell's? I don't know who does. So, for some reason, there's a producer. His name is Metro Boomin, and he has his own artist page. So anytime you listen to one of his songs that he produced, it counts as a listen to his artist page.
Yeah.
So he was at the top of my list, but I think the top artist, I think it was 21 Savage or Drake, which is not a surprise.
Okay.
I had that issue because of the music I listened to, which I found out I can call Odacore, by the way.
We're not calling it anime music anymore. I saw
I was
that
gonna
tweet.
ask that.
I saw that tweet.
No, I put it on my story on Instagram too. Yeah, no, I know what to call it now. Is the song that was #1 was, first of all, it's a song called Fight Together. It's from One Piece, actually. What's interesting is I don't actually listen to the full song. I listened to a certain clip of it. And I'll
Okay.
just loop it, and I guess it was a certain thing. Because the second song was Colors, and that's like my favorite song, right? It's in Japanese and everything. But also a bunch of the songs, it's under Anime Project is the name of the whatever you call it.
The producer.
Yeah, and it was the top artist. It should have been Flo. Also, like, I need to know YouTube because most of my stuff's on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way too.
Then it would be Flo by like the band by a mile, and Colors would be. I was upset, and what was really embarrassing is I didn't realize my third listened to song was Monaco's national anthem.
I didn't even notice that. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it so much.
Should this
That
be
is
part
so
of the
funny.
episode promotion on Instagram of what our Spotify rap will look like?
Just the national. It's such a
That's
happy
so funny.
national anthem.
I have a question, Alex, before we go.
Yeah.
Someone who knows 21 Savage but doesn't actually know their music, what is
Yeah.
one song you think people should listen to when they think of 21 Savage?
Oh, there's some good ones. Honestly, the only reason it was that high is because I had to do a review for my critical and opinion writing class, and it was one of the options. I'm like, oh, this will be interesting. So I looped it and looped it and looped it and looped it over and over again. Like I generally listen, like he's in my I call it rippity rap. I don't know why. That's why I named the playlist on Spotify. I don't know. That's a good question, Daniel. Maybe that song with
I always
Post
thought it was
Malone.
like the song they play when the Leafs take to the ice for the warm up or something. I don't know.
What's this? I don't even know what song that is. That you know more clearly know more than me. I don't know what the song is.
I don't know.
I don't know what the song is.
Wait.
Probably
They're gonna
that-
keep it the Hall and Oates.
Oh please, I hope they
You
don't.
can kind of see it.
Oh my! I didn't even notice it said Monaco national anthem when
Here
I
it is.
read it.
Fight Together, Colors, and Monaco national anthem is number 3. I love it. I love it so much.
Oh, that's funny.
Right. Are we good to go then?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode of the show, be sure to check us out. Check out the video portion of it on YouTube. Subscribe to the
Our
YouTube channel.
Ryerson attire.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
the Rams. Let's go. Cut tuition, please. Just for now. When you're on YouTube, give the video a like. Why not also leave a comment? Who's going to win, Kane or insert Paul brother here? Is Checo Perez going to get the seat with Red Bull?
Yes.
Do you love George Russell like the rest of us? Yes, of course you do. What else? Thank you, The Voice, as always, for being a fantastic platform for the show. Check out the podcast on anywhere you listen to a podcast. Apple Podcast, Spotify. What are your Spotify raps? We want to know. Do you listen to a national anthem too? If you're German and you love Schumacher, do you listen to the German one? It's very powerful, don't you know, than the German national anthem.
It is.
I think that's it. Oh, be sure to check out Alex's blog, my YouTube channel for all your Habs needs, and check out everything Daniel does for the Ryersonian. Not
For this last week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're not doing next semester?
No, I'm there's speculation I might go back to the eye opener, but we don't know yet. It's not confirmed.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What? Speculation, eh?
Yeah.
So if I ask a reliable source to put a number of 1 to 10, what do you think that source wearing a blue hat and clear frame glasses would say to me?
He wouldn't know, but sources say Will Baldwin has the info.
Okay.
Stay tuned then.
Great.
Um,
Okay.
All right.
Is
Then.
that everything?
I think so.
Alrighty then.
All right.